What is up, winning team? This video is only for people who are actually ready to win. If you're still in the flow of trying to figure out if you can handle the heat and if you're going to stay in the kitchen, this one isn't for you. Or perhaps it is, because I'm going to tell you guys about the reality of being a winner. We're going to all need to put on our big boy and big girl panties for this one. And we're all going to need to understand that if life is a game, you must play to win. But today what I'm going to be talking about is the downsides of winning. Now, when people think of winning, especially if you're not somebody who's very well versed or experienced with winning, it all sounds amazing. When you hear that somebody got a gold medal in the Olympics, when you hear that somebody got, a number one song on the chart, when you hear that, somebody got, had a baby, when you hear that somebody got promoted in their job, it's very easy to focus on the win. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to use my experience and a lot of the things I've said to illustrate my point here, because this is so important, because this is even a message I'm being reminded of as we speak. I want you guys to think about, imagine you are a footballer. Imagine you are a professional footballer, right? Imagine what it's like to stand on a pitch, or whatever sport you want to think of, or a runner standing at the starting line. Imagine that you're wearing the flag of the country that you represent, right? And everybody is believing and hoping in you to represent so that they can enjoy the pride. This is what I'm saying. What people don't realize is majority of us are usually sitting in the bleachers. We're usually sitting in the crowd, in the stadium, on the sidelines, right? We're usually sitting in the comment section. And so it's very easy to miss what it's really like to be the person under pressure, to be the person standing on the starting line against all the other of the best opponents that have been training, waiting, mark, set, go, and knowing that this is your one and only chance. The pressure is immense when you are a winner. And listen, the good news about Jesus, and this is why I'm so grateful for Jesus, because I wouldn't bother actually if not for Jesus. Can I be real? Because the pressure is too much. I believe the pressure is too much. And when the closer you're getting to the finish line, the tougher it is. Because even if you're running in a race, right? If you're running in a race, you can start off ahead of everybody. It doesn't matter where you started off. It matters where you finished. And the pressure is always the greatest right before you cross the line. That's called faith, by the way. If you want to know where that is in the Bible, it's called faith. So that moment where you're running in the race, you might even be ahead in the race, right? And everybody is screaming your name. Everybody is tuning in. There are millions of people watching, and you haven't won yet until you've crossed the line. And you have to be prepared to think about the fact that you haven't won until you've crossed the line. Now, I always use the analogy of a mountain when I talk about winning. The higher you want to get, the less people are up there and the less people have what it takes to get there. The higher you go, the less people are going to be there with you. the higher you go, the more is going to be required of you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. That's why you hear me say a lot of the time that I think the general public is very weak. Because if you are so quick, like I was explaining this to somebody, to a young person, a young man, who was telling me that he wants to do basketball. But he had an anger issue. And I said to him, do you realize that if you one day get to play in the NBA, like you're dreaming of playing in the NBA, you can't afford to just lose your temper like the average person can afford to lose their temper. Your temperament, your self-control has to be at a higher level than the other people for you to get there, because that's the point. If you want to be, I'm using sports as an illustration because it's easy. Well, I've had a lot of experience with sports. I've played literally most sports. And so I'm saying a lot of this from experience, especially running. And just all of it, actually. It's not over till it's over, right? It's not over till it's over. You haven't won until you've actually won. And you have to actually stop and think about what is worth losing for the win that you want to have. And the greater the win you're searching for, the greater the pressure and the more it's going to require of you to acquire it. This is why I say winning isn't a mentality, but a lifestyle, because it's not enough for you to think in winning terms if your actions don't match what you're doing. A lot of people, I'll speak from my own perspective because I've spoken a lot about my experience with betrayal and whatnot. And I know for a fact it's because of the dreams that I have. It's because of how big the dreams that I have are. And if I fulfill what I want to fulfill in this world, which is number one priority is protect the children. The number one thing the devil is trying to go after, the future, the seed. That's what he was after in the very beginning. And that's who he's always going to be after. The seed. Because why? Because with Adam and Eve, God told the snake that the woman shall give birth he will crush your head and you will bruise his heel. So even God is acknowledging you're going to create some problems there. You're going to do everything you can and you're going to try, but he's going to crush you. Obviously Christ, praise Jesus. We need him. So when you decide to win, you automatically have an opponent. And this isn't something that I realized until the last, what month are we in? 8 months. 8-9 months. That as soon as you, not even 8-9 months, probably more like 7 months, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. So when you decide to win, there are some things you have to be prepared to lose other things that are required for your win. I'll tell you guys I'll give you guys examples for me. As I was becoming an adult, when I was 21 years of age, it occurred to me that based on my strength, my skill set, my patience level, my temperament, my whatever, I had two choices. I could dive to try and foster relationships with the betrayers like the rest of the world would do, make excuses for them, pander to the weak whilst I'm the punching bag because I can handle it and I can handle more than they can. And then my story just ends like many others, a story of destruction and dysfunction that leads to death. Nothing comes of it. No one remembers your name. You didn't have any great impact on the world. You didn't even impart any value in the lives of the people around you. Or I could shift all of the energy and skills that I have to the people who are ready, to the people who are in need, because I realized there's a whole bunch of children in the world that are unloved, that are being trafficked. And so I'm willing to sacrifice what others have to think about my decisions, what the world would do in my position, my relationships with a lot of people, because I've decided that that's what I'm going to focus on. I've decided that is going to be my win. That is the win I'm searching for. And therefore, the closer and closer I get to that, the more and more pressure and opposition is going to be on my shoulders, because the kingdom of darkness wants us to choose death and destruction and disorder. The kingdom of darkness wants us to be weak. The kingdom of darkness wants to weaken us, right? That's what the devil wants. And can I be very honest with you all who are listening? Do you know why I always talk about how I just can't stand this planet? It's not because of me reacting out of my trauma, although that's what everybody thinks, I'm sure, because that's what everybody else does, or a lot of other people do. It is that I am truly mourning the state of the world we are living in. I am truly upset and irritated and angered that there are so few people prepared to do what it takes to win. The Bible says that the path, narrow is the path that leads to, what is it? I don't know what the exact words are, but basically leads to righteousness, godliness, to heaven. Wide is the gate that leads to destruction. I should just search this, shouldn't I? I've got my laptop right here. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the faint-hearted. And I realize that, people will say stuff like, and I was a believer of this. This is why I'm realizing it. Oh, if you've experienced this, and this many times, the chances are you're the common denominator. And that's kind of common denominator, and that can be true. You know what can also be true? You can just be running ahead of everybody else in the race, and they just can't keep up. Because that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about this just now. I was thinking, it's so nice. Right now, I'm in a winning season, right? There is not one human being that I trust. There's not one human being that I can say, oh my goodness, you know what? I wouldn't be able to get through this if it wasn't for so-and-so. And I was just thinking to the Lord, the reason why I'm really comfortable with not having people in my life is because who was there to get me here in the first place? And how many people couldn't keep up? Like, hold on, here's the scripture. It's Matthew 7:13 to 14. For wide is the gate. Oh, okay. Yes, perfect. It's even better. It's even more on point than what I was thinking. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Only a few find it. Because who has what it takes? Because every single time I'm going through, like right now, I'm in the winning season. That's why I can speak like this, because I feel like I'm not going to say what I feel like. Let's just say it's very much the winning season, right? And as such, the pressure is heavy. The pressure is heavy. And it's the same old, as we as we're nearing the finish line, people are falling off like flies. And I realized this is the truth. Praise Jesus that I am no longer such a slave to the lies of the enemy. The other people, they couldn't keep up. They couldn't keep up. And don't get me wrong, guys, I've done many wrong things. I've made so many mistakes. But you know what? I've always tried to dust myself off and try again. I've seen ugly sides of myself, and I've been an ugly person at times. And once I've looked and done some self-reflection, I've thought, I'm never going to put myself in that position again. That's why some of the people who I've had to cut off in my life, the reason I've cut them off is not because I have hatred. Do you know what one of the most upsetting things that one of my own parents said to me? They said they thought I wanted them dead. I'm going somewhere with this. When I was watching this video, there's this girl on YouTube called Steph Pappas, and I've been watching her for a long time, right? And a really sad situation happened, basically, where her parents had come to her house, and she has a really sweet relationship with her parents. She makes videos with both of them, so it's all very wholesome. And I like to see families that are actually working, you know? I'm always throwing shade because I feel like with the amount of restraint that I have, I allow myself a little bit of shade here and there. Oh my gosh. So one time, their parents had come to her house and they'd had dinner, and they were driving home and they just made plans for a trip. And as her parents left, they got into an accident. Her mum got injured and her dad passed away. And do you know what my thought actually was? How I would be a wreck if either of my parents were dead. And so when this individual said what they said, I was like, do you not understand? First of all, it's very revealing about the way you think, because why the hell is anybody wishing anybody dead in the first place? Like, where does that kind of thinking even come from is what I'm thinking, which is the scary part of it all. But anyway, I wake up every day disappointed that everyone is still choosing the losing mentality when winning is the easiest opportunity. I wake up disappointed every day, every single day. That's why I want to get as far away from everything as possible, so that I can just forget it somehow. Disappointed that the same easy choices that I make, apologize, self-reflection, addressing the ugliness within myself, putting my faith in Jesus, are not being taken every single day. So this is what I have to put up with for my win and the pain I have to bear. Because the reason I have to keep this distance is because I cannot afford, as a winner, to allow anything to prevent my win. Certainly not someone who is not choosing winning when there are people who are in need of the win that I am trying to achieve. And so this is the realities of being a winner. The pain of watching sometimes those around you, or the people that you know, the people that you love, your friends, your maybe even your colleagues, your family, your community, watching the people around you constantly not choosing the same simple choices that you made, and then sticking with them regardless of the consequences, the guilt. I pray in tears for the people who I have cared about, loved ones, friends, family, over the years. I prayed for them in tears that they would find God the way I have, and not because I'm trying to reconcile. That's the funny thing. It's for their benefit. So what I take away from, and I was thinking about this situation because I'm so glad I didn't cry about it now, because when it happened, it really was one of the most heartbreaking things someone could ever say. I'm like, you think after everything I have done, and this is what I'm saying again about winning. Imagine after everything I have done for you, after everything you have seen of me, and your conclusion of my character is that I would wish you were dead. So another thing is that I have to prepare myself as a winner, as do we all, for people to believe the worst about you. You know why? Because it's easier to believe the worst about you than to take accountability for themselves. Winners take accountability. Losers are accusers. Satan in the garden. The Satan. The accuser. It breaks my heart to see the state of this world every single day. Every horrible story, every heartbreak, every destruction, every death, every upset, everything. It saddens me when I see dead animals. Like when I see a dead rat, it makes me feel sad. I know it's the circle of life. I know it's the food chain, right? And everything. It still makes me feel sad. It's still alive. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a respecter of lives. But also, I'm also the same person that, listen, my territory is my territory. If you're messing around in my territory, that's your business. The game's the game. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of the decisions that you have to make as a winner are not going to be easy. The times where you can't fight fire with fire. The times where, like, right now for me, one of the things is just having to keep my mouth shut. I'm so excited about everything the Lord is doing, but because of the volatile nature of this planet and just the game of life, I must keep my mouth shut. I must keep to myself because I cannot afford to allow anything or anyone to disrupt or to stop my winning season. So I've made a lot of controversial choices recently, a lot of which I won't be sharing for a little while, in all areas, in work, in social circles, in some communities, amongst the church. Do you guys know how easy it would be for me to just put on the outfit of the perfect little cute Christian girl? I was thinking about this earlier just now. I was thinking about how one of the things I decided to do, because one of these pastors has had to step down because he fell into sin, and it was all one of these, we're hearing all of this all the time, no surprise. Because you know what? I have to deal with the pressure that every single Christian wants to critique the hell out of me, as if Jesus, and the Bible actually says, what is it that, Marcus even said it in his sermon today, the scripture about, as soon as you've sinned once, it's as good as sinning as many as the next person. So even if I've sinned just once, my one sin is equivalent to your 1,000,000 sins, even if you've sinned 1,000,000 times. I decided that part of my winning strategy in this life was that I was not going to be the believer of God who like covers everything up and tries to be perfect and then like produces myself to the world as some shiny, perfect object. I decided I'm going to be authentic. If I haven't developed in a certain area yet, I'm not going to pretend that I have. So that the world can actually see the transformative power of Christ. And not just see a bunch of people who seem to get everything right. And then when something goes wrong, because this pastor, it's all like, it's all very private, which is good. I don't believe that people's business should be out there. My point is that the world doesn't need to see more people acting perfect. The world needs to see the freaking power of Jesus. So yes, I will be the one that every Christian critiques, has something to say about. It's a choice that I have to make, and it's a weight that I have to bear. I have to be the one to truly believe that my salvation is for real, because it's not coming from Christians. I have to be the one who cares about the children, because it's not coming from the world. I'm telling you guys this stuff because, number one, I want you to understand loud and clear that everything I do and everything I tell you guys is for the benefits of winning, because I can guarantee you I have resolved within myself that I am making it across that freaking finish line and I'm going to be in first place. I can assure you. Because now I have nothing to lose. Nothing. You know, like when the CIA and the who, where, and they want to have all their secret invaders, or you know who the best type of assassin to hire is? Someone with nothing to lose. You know the best type of person to be yourself? Someone with nothing to lose. Because what will the bad people do as soon as you come against them? Oh, we're going to kill your wife. We're going to kill your kids. That's why I'm not rushing into like forming personal relationships. Being in this position right now where I don't trust anybody is like being OP. Because I've got nothing to lose. I've got nothing to lose, and I've put myself in the mind frame that I have no loyalty to anyone other than Jesus. And that's why I know I'm going to win, because that's just the logical winning strategies that we learn in the Bible. But the point I'm trying to make to you guys is, right, and also to let you guys know where I'm at mentally. It's important for you guys to know. And it's crazy because I've had a complete 180 since I sat here this time last year. This time last year, I didn't care about winning. I just wanted to go and be with the Lord. I still would just want to go and be with the Lord, because it's when I say that, the feeling that the just the negative energy of this planet is just overwhelming for me, because I truly care. That's the funny thing. People don't get it. People think I'm just dramatic, or when I'm getting angry about the state of society, I'm getting angry about the state of adults, it's because I'm just angry and whatever. I'm upset that we are allowing the stupid snake to win. How can we sit here with the easiest option ever to receive Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Believe in the Lord. Believe God is who He says He is. It's going to be tough though, because as free as the gift can be, doesn't mean people are going to go there. How many skills can we all learn on YouTube today? Does that mean we're all learning them? Some of the things that we're all making excuses that we don't know how to do on this same Wi-Fi that we're scrolling across on whatever, or we're watching whatever, we could be studying. That's how a lot of people learn stuff. I learned a lot of stuff that way. As you guys know, I'm not qualified in like so many of the jobs that I do. I don't have a teaching qualification. I don't have I've done so many jobs. I don't have the qualification. I just figure it out. I gain experience, study, get the job done. And then I end up doing better even than the people that have done the freaking qualifications, gone and got a master's, PhD in malarkey. It's crazy. It's crazy, you know? So what I'm trying to say here is, guys, you have to be prepared sometimes to lose the things you wouldn't prefer to lose. And you got to weigh up what's really worth it. You got to weigh up what's really worth it, because, and you got to remember that. And this is the real lesson, I guess, of this. And this is probably the hardest one. Just because you choose to win doesn't mean the people around you are going to choose the same option. No matter how many times you try to explain, no matter how many ways you try to help, people can only help themselves, and you will only experience it. That's why people think my stories are crazy. I can't wait for Judgment Day, because when we all get to on that final day when we're all in heaven, and everybody has to realize that everything I've been saying is true, and it was really true, and I wasn't being dramatic, I wasn't overinflating it, I wasn't doing anything. I was giving the facts for what they were. I can't wait to see all the drawers on the floors of the courts of heaven, because that's what happens when you truly decide to win. That's what happens. When I gave my life to Jesus at like 7 years old and I was serious, that was the day there was a target on my back. In fact, there was already one before, because the enemy already could see, and the enemy was trying to take out the seed. And that's why the enemy is after our childhood, and he's after the children. You see? And it all put my life into perspective. Because I look at what other people want to achieve in this life, and I think, to be honest, a lot of the time, because I'm like, we have real issues. Today I discovered that all these changes I didn't even know were happening in the education system in the United Kingdom under Rishi Sunak. And I was like, I don't know if people have realized that the children are actually the future. Like, we're all going to die. Like, the kids are the future. This attitude of just, we're just going to say, the kids are just are done. We literally are creating chaos. Can you see that? Let's say that things aren't getting worse. That means we just take ourselves to death, to just total death. And then there's no existence anymore. We're just done. How sad and pathetic is that? And then the devil's done exactly what he wanted to do. It's as if Jesus didn't defeat death, but it's because we don't believe in Jesus. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I've had a very, like, the closer and closer things are happening and whatnot, it gets more intense, and it's intense right now. Like, I don't sleep. I do not sleep. I'm having to do extra everything, push myself to my very limits in every single way. And this is how it is when you're an athlete, and it's those final training sessions, and you have to push and push and push. You push because that little extra push you do, you might not want to run another lap. Guess what? Maybe your opponent is. Our opponent is the devil. And can I just say that the losers and the losing teams do very well at what they do. So there's just some food for thought about the downsides of winning. It's absolutely euphoric once you cross the line and once you do it. And I will die peacefully once I have achieved my goals, with a smile on my face, ready to meet the Lord. But until that day, I am very much aware that this is war. Winners know that winning requires you to be a warrior. Not a warrior, but a warrior. On that note, if life's a game, let's play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.